Hey, what's going on, Freedomers? Okay, so before I go into this live, um, let me give you an example. Success and failure, for instance, I wrote down here, is the learning of mistakes. Like failures don't learn from their mistakes. Successful people do. And for instance, one of the things that successful people are good at is boundaries, right? So I'm gonna give you an example. I used to suffer from being an indiscriminate giver. So what that means is I was somebody that was giving more than I was receiving, giving with no regard of the value of which I was giving. And sometimes, if not 90% of the time, you have to ask yourself, are they going to do for me like I'm going to do for them? And a lot of people don't like that hard question because it sounds very transactional. But it's something that you must accept. What are they doing for me? And as a person who's getting over this being an indiscriminate giver, as Robert Greene would say, you must understand that you have to learn to say, no, I'm not doing that. Because they won't do for me what I would do for them. Because it'll take you off of your mission and your goals. And you have to realize when you're being more successful. I'll give you a practical example. My roommate's clothes was in the dryer, spinning, and the dryer doesn't stop, right? And I thought about taking it upstairs, putting it in a basket and taking it upstairs and putting it by her door. And I said to myself, would she do that for me? And the answer is no. So I just decided, because I live here, I'm going to stop the machine because it doesn't stop. And she's upstairs, probably knocked out. I'm going to stop the machine. And because I've learned from my failures and I've learned from observing her, she would not do that for me. So you have to be mature enough to say, I'm not doing that. Instead of overly giving and saying, oh, I'm just going to be a nice guy. She wouldn't do that for me. So you respect yourself enough to do what you're supposed to do because you live here. And that's it. But I'm not even stopping it for her. I'm stopping it for me because I live here. I look out from where I live at. But I would not take it to her room because she wouldn't do that for me. So, and that's not just putting stuff in the universe. I've just seen that. And you have to take that seriously in different areas of your life when dealing with people. Would they do that for me? Would they look out for me that way? And if you see that they're not, dead them immediately. Because life is about balance in some respect. Success has balance in it. And because you can't get to harmony without balance. And that doesn't mean the scale is going to be perfectly weighed out, because it never will, because you're human. But enough where everybody on both sides of the spectrum is satisfied. So success and failure is not difficult. Correct. There has to be a value exchange. And if you don't, in business, if you don't see a value exchange, you need to drop that motherfucker. Period. It's not emotional. It's not like, oh, I just want to be kind. No, because you're losing money. Okay? So success, I've learned success and failure is just polarity. That's it. It's not one's harder than the other, even though the results can be different. And it may seem like it's harder, but I've realized the results aren't harder per se. Failure is harder than success. Failure is just a different set of results in a different part of the polarity. But you face just as much hardship going after success. And becoming successful is kind of just as difficult. Like, when you really look at the law, it is just as difficult being rich as it is poor. Here's why. Because no success is guaranteed forever. And a lot of people who don't got no money don't realize that. No success is forever. None. You always got to be on the hunt. It is just as difficult as always improving yourself as it is not improving yourself. Because you always got to grow. Imagine being the best of the best and you always got to be better. Imagine being a Jeff Bezos and you still got to be better next year. You've reached the top, so you're set. But for the regular entrepreneur that's making $150,000 to $200,000 a year, you got to be better. And that is just as difficult as not being better. They're just polarities. It's not feelings, it's not emotions. And I heard the other day, everything is emotions. That's not true. Everything is law, not emotions. Everything is principles, not emotions. Emotions are fuel those things for happening in your life. But everything is law. Everything is based on laws and principles, not feelings. Because if feelings mattered that much, a lot of different shit would be happening in this world. It's not. America is falling because of law, not feelings. There were plenty of feelings, especially being a melanated man. There were plenty of feelings that weren't given a fuck about in my culture. It's not on feelings, it's the law. So, success and failure are just different results, and they are just polarities of thinking and habits. So, your problem is not success or failure, it's your thinking and your habits. So the polarity, for instance, is successful people are very focused and very concentrated. Failures are usually highly distracted. Like, for instance, my spirit even told me, your to-do list in the beginning is your schedule. Failures, or people who are average or losing or whatever you want to call it, don't have this. The fuck? Who the fuck is ringing the motherfucking doorbell at 10 o'clock at motherfucking night? The fuck? Who the fuck? Who the fuck is ringing the motherfucking doorbell at 10 o'clock at motherfucking night? Who is that? Oh, okay. I lost my motherfucking mind. My fault. I'm a New Yorker. I don't do none of that shit. Not much. Sorry. But, successful people are very intentional and action-orientated. Their failures are very hope and analysis-based. and I'm switching from going from here to here because intention doesn't always mean according to the plan. Intention often precedes flexibility. A lot of failures are like they're hoping it works out, and they're usually very analytical about their success. They know so many fucking stats about how, like one of the things I pride myself for is I don't know a motherfucking stat about how successful entrepreneurs are, or what's the stats on you being a successful entrepreneur or not. I don't give a fuck about none of that. I think that has kept me from that has granted me so much success because I didn't care about the data. Now, data is important, don't get it fucked up. But in certain regards, like I'm so thankful I never cared about how, like, I just never cared. Now, to some extent, it's important to know when you're getting a momentum of success so you can be in a state of thankfulness. So when you start like paying bills and your lifestyle starts changing, and you beat, and here's where the only time you need to look at analytics is when you know you're beating the odds. That's it. You don't need to know when you're just starting. None of this shit matters. I promise you. Been there, done that. Jesus Christ. Jesus. Successful people research and experiment. And the reason why I say research and experiment, because experiment is another word for action. But experiment because nothing is guaranteed. You feel what I'm saying? So it's more of an experiment. Failures have an overload of information that have no use, or that is not being put to use. Trust me, I'm switching over to this myself because all you need to know, because you have to do your research, you feel what I'm saying, to be a successful, let's say, entrepreneur, and you have to experiment. You have to see if that works. What's the name? Intentional thinking and habits. Like, for instance, I was thinking about this morning. Successful people have a required set of thinking and habits. Like, it's a requirement for them to think and act a certain way. When you look at people who are failing, they're unintentional about everything. They don't know why they do what they do. They don't know why they think what they think. They don't question what they think and what they do. It's just like, it is what it is. And a lot of people who are failing in different aspects of life, this is what they do. It is what it is. There's no research. There's no experimenting, and there's no intention. It's just, it is what it is. And they have a whole lot of information that is not even being useful to their goals. Failures quit, and quit often. You often, like, one of the people I just, like, Spirit told me to say that I was going to make up status about is kind of stay away from people who quit on their dreams at all cost. Who quit on any aspect of life. Unless you're learning why they failed, stay the fuck away from them. It's a disease. They will give you this disease of quitting. It's no bullshit. Successful people never surrender. Because I am where I am in my entrepreneurship online journey because I never surrendered. That's the key to all of this shit. I never surrendered. A millionaire entrepreneur said this on TikTok, and it was so profound. But he was talking about why you should start entrepreneurship instead of having a job. But I'm gonna apply it here. Success is hard in the beginning, but it gets easier in the end. Having a job or failures, it's usually being, or not that having a job is being a failure, but in the route of failing, it's easy in the beginning, hard in the end. Here's why. Because when failure, and here's the thing, when failure is a habit, it's easy in the beginning because you're giving it up, you're not gonna do it, and you don't have no pressure. And then when it becomes a hardened habit, it's you can't do nothing about it. Or you don't want to do anything about it. Let me say that. Failures are all about they self. And here's what I mean by that. When you're failing, especially in entrepreneurship, usually you are only thinking about you. Now, I'm very selfish, but there's a difference between thinking about self and meaning like you're only out for self. You're not for the highest good of self and others. Successful people are, and I think this is a transference. Ambition, in the words of Dr. Miles Monroe, is all the things you want. Vision is the way you're going to help others. You have to go from ambition to vision. You help others and yourself, and you work on yourself to help others, because you know there is no helping others without helping yourself. Like I said earlier in the call, in this live, successful people have boundaries. Failures don't. They often see everything as one. Now, to some extent, that is true. But to a great extent, there is no... Successful people see the difference. And correct. But again, even with success, even in the words of Dan Pena, he said, successful people are really selfish. So I don't have a problem with being selfish if it leads to being self-full. I have a problem with selfish when it hurts others. In the preservation of self. Which naturally leads to nothing. Long term. You may look good in the beginning, but if this is self-full, when my cup runneth over, I can help others in a better way. Because I know my worth. So I don't have a problem with selfishness. Selflessness, that sometimes that word bothers me because people are selfish. That's some shit I had to accept. And I'm going to say this here too. Improve yourself so much that you outgrow the pain that someone caused you in life. Because when you're a failure, you are stuck in pain. And usually you're stuck in pain because you're not growing. You refuse to do better. And it's almost like I think Bob Proctor said, he said, it's almost like they love their misery. Successful people have pain, experience pain, and then they create an experience. Create a new experience. Which is, you can say, growth. And this is challenging because we are, as a society, we are taught to stay stuck in our pain and validate the pain and make it sound so sexy. You know what I'm saying? Instead of saying, you know what, I'm going to create a new experience because of this pain. Because you both have to experience it on both sides. Because again, they're polarity. You feel me? But with this one, you'll it's like being in pain. Could be broke, could mean brokenness, heartbreak, all of that stuff. So you're stuck here because you're usually refusing something, Or if you look at the word, and I'll leave this before I create my call of action, refuse says, if you cut out the word, now you can say re and then fuse, meaning something that is an outlet for use. So you have to reuse the outlet that caused you pain. Or again, you could take out the F and you say reuse. So the energy that was sent to you, because that's all pain is, energy. So the energy that was sent to you, you have to reuse it. This is difficult. This is really difficult because we don't live in a society that teaches us that. And some would say a process that is good for that is semen retention or lack of sex. Do you ever feel like you put so much energy and effort, like you're spinning your wheels? Yeah. And sometimes spinning your wheels means you have no outside perspective. Imagine this is a wheel. I'm not going to draw it. I don't have time for that. Meaning you have no outside perspective. To look at what you're doing wrong. And I've had to say that here as well. Failures have no mentors, no guides, no books, no reading. But really, sometimes you could call this stuck. Is he in my room? You could have asked. You could have asked.
You was on the phone, so I just went in and turned it down myself.
Yeah, I don't do that. That's a big no-no for me. But being stuck means you are not you are stuck in fear, pain, or trauma. So, which usually is a comfort zone. So, what I've learned is when getting unstuck, when you can't afford to pay somebody, you have to find the closest place. And sometimes it's not far. And meaning, like, what I mean by not far, meaning, like, that's probably the wrong word. Like, I mean, not an extreme distance from your comfort zone. Meaning you do the next best thing. The next best thing that's outside of your comfort zone. And sometimes that means starting over. Like I heard a guy say he fired all his employees. Next thing you know, he had $1 million company. So really burning your wheels just means you're in your comfort zone. And that's something I'm learning myself. That's all it means. When I'm spinning my wheels, I'm doing the same thing over and over and over again. Now, there is a certain place and perspective where you have to do the same thing over and over and over again. The reason why I say this is because I put a lot of understood, and that's when you have to compartmentalize. And you have to separate like personal and business goals, and learn when they intersect, learn when they don't, but also learn when to detach. Like that's huge when a lot of personal and business is coming together. Learn when to say, I'm at work right now, and none of that personal shit matters. Or in a simple word, learn when to turn off. Like turn it off. So when you're at home, the business is shut off. When you're at work, the personal is shut off. And that's hard for me because as I work at home. So like, you gotta create boundaries. And set hours. Like how my roommate just went in my room for whatever reason. And I don't like the fact that he just went in my room and when he leaves, he locks his door. Like that's not cool for me. At all. But I let it go because it's not a big deal. And it's just boundaries. Damn, that's like freezing up. I don't know why the fuck is doing that. But when life shows up, try to detach and find, damn, that's really, what the hell? That's that lag. Try to find the lesson. What's the common thread? And because sometimes our personal life does leak into our business life. So if you find out what the thread is, learn the lesson behind what the thread is, and that's what's most important. So comment yes below or DM me yes below for my, that's really, what the hell? Or you can go to bit.ly/social media mastery 1, or go to bit.ly/social media mastery 1. That's not written nice, but social media mastery 1, that's all one word, and bit.ly/social media mastery 1 to learn more about social media. If you want to work with me personally, the $250 package is how you do that. And like I said, success and failure are just polarities.